Welcome to SVG Television News for March the 4th, 2014. I'm Jimmy Prince with the news. St. Vincent and the Grenadines today officially became the second member of the OECS to implement an e-passport with the opening of the new immigration headquarters in Kingstown. Speaking at today's launch, Vice President and Director of Business Development of the Canadian Banknote, Simon Wall, says his company is pleased to work with SVG to facilitate the issuance of the electronic passports, which contain a chip that is encoded with the passport holder's photo, name, date of birth, and other biographic information.
This extra layer of security inspires greater confidence in and acceptance of a country's travel documents. Approximately 105 countries are now issuing e-passports. They include countries like the United States, Canada, and United Kingdom. And at CBN, we're a key partner on many of these projects, upgrading the e-passport systems. With this change, St. Vincent becomes the second member of the OECS to implement an e-passport.
Wall says this country's move towards e-passport is a message to the global community that the country takes the issue of security extremely seriously. Wall also used the opportunity to further highlight some of the features of the new passport.
In addition, the new passport has a more secure thin film, a frangible laminate, and just frangible basically means that if it's tampered with, it will destroy itself. So it makes tampering with the laminate absolutely impossible. So any attempt to alter information will result in the destruction of the data page. The laminate also contains enhanced holographic images and ultraviolet elements. Furthermore, CBN's comprehensive long-term maintenance program will ensure continued service and support so that this mission-critical system remains operational. CBN is a trusted supplier of secure travel documents and issuing systems, banknotes and payment systems and lottery systems to many governments around the world. And in fact, the Caribbean region alone, we provide identity solutions for 10 of the 15 CARICOM members, and we're involved in 9 of the national lotteries as well.
Meanwhile, Minister of National Security and the Prime Minister Dr. Gonzalez says his government continues to put measures in place to ensure that all national documents are safe and secure based on international standards. Dr. Gonzalez says with regard to the e-passport, the document has to go through some 5 different checkpoints.
No one person can issue a passport here. The only case in which you can initiate the issuance of a passport other than through this 5 checkpoint system is in regard to a diplomatic passport, and still the checkpoints have to be made. By that I mean it is an executive decision as to whether Tom Brown or Mary Jones should be issued with a diplomatic passport. But that decision having been made, the checks have to go through in every material particular in just the same manner.
Well, while St. Lucians have been able to enjoy a reduction in the cost of electricity through hedging, the local utility company, Vinlec, describes the practice as very risky. Speaking to journalists on the issue of the fuel surcharge rate and how it is calculated, Chief Executive Officer of Vinlec, Thorny Myers, explains that while the concept of hedging can lead to benefits to both electricity consumers and Vinlec, it is a serious gamble.
Hedging is an instrument used by some utilities in the 33 members of CARILEC. Perhaps 2 or 3 members are using it. It is risky. St. Lucia has had instances when it has certainly been in the positive, and there are instances when it has not necessarily been in the positive. It's a risk. And that risk means that at times the customers can benefit and at other times they may not.
And while persons here are continuously being urged to conserve electricity, there is said to be very little one can actually do to cut back on the electricity bill based on current findings. Chief Executive Officer of VINLEC, Tony Myers, explains that of the approximately 40,000 customers of VINLEC, 36,000 are domestic customers, and they have found that over 29,000 are using below 200 units of electricity a month, which he says is very low.
When you're using 60 units, 70 units, 120 units, 140 units, you can conserve, but don't expect that conservation to drop your bill from $150 to $110. It means that is not conservation. It's almost drastic changes in lifestyle. In other words, by switching off, and we are promoting it, we're saying you should do it, but there has to be some realism to what we do, and one ought not to expect that if you switch off a light here, a light there, a light here, a light there, that you're going to reduce your electricity bill significantly. It's going to be very small. And I think that's an important message.
Opposition leader Adam Eustace is calling for an overhaul of this country's missions abroad. Speaking on the New Times program on Monday, Mr. Eustace said he is not pleased with the present work being done by the missions in getting aid for the country.
I'm saying again to the government of St. Vincent and Grenadines, overhaul those missions we have abroad. Put them on a proper pathway. Not only to deal with consular activities and passports and so on, but to bring trade and investment to assist the economy of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the providing of jobs for the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
The opposition leader added that the missions should also assist in all areas of the country's development, including trade.
We, as a country, trying to attract investment, trying to trade, we have to have a clean face out there. We already have one of the worst trade balances you could have. We're importing 9 to 10 times more than we export. And I feel our missions will be more involved in a lot of those kind of activities than they are now.
Nelson Block launches its 2014 production, looking to capture its 10th Band of the Year title. We have more on this when we come back. Welcome back. Celebrating its 31st year of existence, the Digicel Nelson Block is looking forward to Vincy Mas 2014. At the band's media launch today, the 9-time Band of the Year winner says it will be going for its 10th win this year, able to boast of having most Band of the Year titles in the history of Vincy Mas. Public Relations Officer of the band, Sean Tara Brewster, said the band's production for 2014, dubbed We Drinking, will celebrate the drinks featured during the Carnival festivities.
Now, We Drinking basically looks at drinks that normally people consume during the Carnival season. Bearing in mind that we also look at the color scheme, because as we know, Carnival is all about colors. The seriousness of the nature that we want to win the 10th Band of the Year this year, we actually started presentation already in the mass tent. We're actually in the mass tent doing work. So we're looking to bring a full band. We're looking to bring actually the biggest band that Vincy Mas is going to see for 2014.
Band leader Alvon Cadogan also highlighted that the band does not only cater for the Carnival season, but also contributes in other areas in the country's development.
In addition to producing mass, we have been giving back to the community of Paul's Avenue in the form of book drive for the children and our back to school program, which provides assistance to the neediest children in the community. We have also adopted the Bishop College Kingston, donating books to the school for the library and painting classrooms, as well as doing any small repairs after the Carnival.
Marketing manager of Digicel, Juno Daroche, said for the past 11 years, Digicel has been committed to the development of the Nelson Block.
I know for 9 years consecutively, Nelson Block took the first position on the streets with their Revelers Band and was known to be the biggest Revelers Band in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. That's not the reason Digicel supported Nelson Block. Digicel is supporting Nelson Block because of the culture of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and we will continue to support the Nelson Block, known as the Digicel Nelson Block.
Digicel's public relations consultant, St.Georges, says he's pleased with the relationship that exists between both entities.
I must say that perhaps you're the only entity that has been maintained in terms of our sponsorship over the years, for the 11 years. So there must be something special about that. And I think that special has to do with the fact that you definitely have a focus in terms of what you do. You come to the table, you give your side of the bargain, and you also give back. And I think that is what often many people lack with their sponsorship. We see what you're doing. We understand the involvement. You've been very businesslike over these years, and I want to encourage you to continue to do that.
A number of rural carnivals here will continue to receive financial and other support this year from telecommunications company Lime. At a media conference earlier today, Lime's general manager, Leslie Jack, says the company has done its own assessment. They understand the impact of rural carnivals to the build-up of the national festival, and the company is happy to be on board with some of these events.
There are a number of people within the diasporas that have relatives that live within the rural areas, and they would hear about the excitement and the number of things that is happening with the hottest carnival in the Caribbean, and they would hear that from our relatives that live within the rural locations. So the rural carnivals play a key role in the general awareness of our national event. As such, we thought it really necessary to add some additional incentive to the rural carnivals. In terms of cash, it would be in form of cash, as well as advertising support, and we will be identifying other events that we will get involved in terms of the partnership to allow them to sell their carnival more to Vincentians and people within diaspora.
Coordinator of the rural festivals, Ezzie says last year the Carnival Development Corporation was forced to cut the number of rural carnivals from 12 to 8, and it was primarily due to sponsorship. Roberts says he is happy that Lime continues to give assistance to some of these rural festivals.
Money is always hard to come by in these tough economic times, and the contribution being made by Lime is certainly has been welcomed over the years. This year, Lime has decided to continue the sponsorship arrangement with these rural carnivals, and again, we are quite happy. So I'm here to say that on behalf of the CDC and on behalf of all the rural committees who will be receiving sponsorship, we are quite happy for the Lime's contribution. I would like to implore the rural carnival committees to give due mileage to the Lime band as the money is coming towards the sponsorship comes from their advertising budget. Therefore, they will need to gain adequate mileage for money spent. So I would like to encourage the committees to advertise and promote the Lime band during their carnival.
Meanwhile, Lime will be sponsoring the Area Sports and Cultural Organization, OSCO, their carnival activities for the first time this year. OSCO has been holding carnival activities on that side of the island for the past 2 years with an endorsement from the CDC. Representative of the community-based organization, Shafika Nanton, says OSCO is pleased to have Lime on board this year, and that one of the events persons can look forward to at the start of their carnival weekend of activities is a fusion of fashion and mass. That's on May 30th.
We know our young ladies and the men, they're into mass and some are into fashion, so why not put both together? So on the 30th of May, that's the first carnival, well, rural carnival, we decided to do a fashion show, which is titled The Runway Meets the Real Fetters. This is a combination of, I said before, fashion and mass. We have costumes made by myself and Fayan Pollard. These costumes are made locally, and this is another way that we could help our community and make others realize that we are talented people and we can do our own stuff, right? Then we jump right into the Juve.
Representative of the East St. George, that should be of the St. George's Carnival Committee, Foster Hanibal, says that this year will be a special one for revelers in that area, made possible through Lime.
This year, we can say that St. George's Carnival will be of a blast because of the input we normally get from Lime. Last year we were able to put 2 trucks on the road because we had the show at Arnesville, and we jumped from Arnesville playing field, from Madras to Calico playing field, and this was because of the enormous contribution and the assistance we got from them. I must say this year, patrons could expect a different change in our carnival because we are hoping to implement mass for the first time in St. George's Carnival. So once again, I must say thanks for them to partner with us in St. George now, St. George's Carnival for the last 8 years, and hope that their support will be continued.
The other carnivals Lime will be assisting are North Leeward, South Leeward and Central Windward. The first shipment of relief items from Canada were collected from the port earlier today by members of the opposition New Democratic Party. The party conducted a radiothon recently to help raise the monies needed to pay customs fees after they were denied duty-free concessions on the items. Opposition leader Adam Eustace had earlier stated that he will not work through the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, to get the goods to this country.